Hello, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Carnival Cruising Podcastaways, the podcast where we're talking about anything and everything Carnival cruising related. My name is Trevor Shelby, and joining me on this Carnival cruising adventure is my good friend, Thomas Kennedy. How are you doing, Tom?
Love, exciting and new. I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I really am. I'm so excited that we got this podcast finally going after
weeks of talking about it.
All these weeks talking about it. I think it's fair that we should introduce ourselves just a little bit to everybody. So we are the Golden Boys of Carnival Cruising. That's what I like to call us, the Golden Boys. So I've been on a total of 10 cruises, and I actually introduced Tom to cruising. He's the sole reason he has fun on fun ships is because of me.
I am going to kill you.
Actually, it's the other way around. Tom actually introduced me to cruising, and I've never looked back vacation-wise. I love it. I love cruises.
There's nothing like it. I mean, you hit up several different ports, several different countries in a short amount of time. You may only get like a few hours, but you get a lot in those few hours.
Yeah. And we get our money's worth in food. Mm-hmm. So I eat like a hobbit. So I pack that away.
You all listening at home, you think he's joking. I've seen him eat 15 meals in one day. And I'm the bigger of the two of us, too.
But yeah, I've been on 10 cruises. My absolute favorite ship is the Magic. I've been married on a cruise, which is incredible.
Which I would have thought the Breeze would have been, because that's the ship you got married on.
Yeah. Well, don't bring that up. I love the Magic. I love it. Well, for me, it was my first ship. It was my first experience of getting on a cruise ship. And so,
I love the Magic too. You can't beat the Magic, and I have a very special reason why I love the Magic, though.
Nothing beats that home feel, I guess you could say.
Yeah, true. Well, my name is Thomas. You can call me Buddha, TK, whatever you want. Just don't call me late for dinner. I've been on 8 cruises. I introduced Trevor to cruising, but he surpassed me. Now, my first cruise was on the Ecstasy, but the Magic is my favorite ship, purely because of what a very special thing, which may be a topic later on in the series, but just know that it's a very special experience that I had on the Magic. And and I was Trevor's best man on at his wedding on the Breeze. So Trevor actually proposed on a Carnival cruise too, which I'm still mad he didn't take my proposal idea. With taking a submarine and some aquatic equipment and stuff like that. But it would have worked. I think
it would have been expensive, Tom.
I don't care.
It was fine the way it happened. Okay. Which proposing and getting married on a cruise is always it's kind of a funny experience, and we'll actually get into some of that in another episode. Just explain what our podcast really is we dabble in a little bit of news. We are not a news podcast. Typically, when we're recording these episodes, the news that we get, by the time you get it from us, it's a little old. So I guess it's safe to say.
Because today is December 5th, we're recording, and we're not putting this out until the 18th.
Yeah, and some of the news we're going to talk about is even older than that. So it's just, there's other podcasts out there for news. If you want up-to-the-date news on cruises and stuff, that's fine.
We're not it.
Yeah, we're not that. But if you want to stay relevant in what's going on, we'll have some information on that. Some top things that are going on in the cruising world, well, carnival cruising world especially. We go over tips and tricks, and then a little bit of history, and yeah, we'll talk about all kinds of stuff, different ports we're going to be going to, different ships, different all kinds of stuff. So
maybe even cruises that we have planned.
yeah,
You know,
excursions, all that stuff. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So to kind of just like jump right into it, news wise, the Jubilee, which is the newest ship that's being built, it's gonna be cruising out of Galveston in 2023. It's another XL class ship, and so it's like the Mardi Gras. And if it is like the Mardi Gras, if it's spec wise and everything is the same, going to have a maximum capacity of 6,500 guests. That's everyone's booked and booked to capacity basically. And then
it'll be the third ship with a roller coaster, because they're gonna put the roller coaster on that too.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so, because the roller coaster is pretty cool. I definitely want to do it. I don't know if Tom considers this, but Galveston is my home port, is what I consider.
Yeah, that's my home port too.
Yeah, so I love cruising out of Galveston. It's always easy and simple.
Except for if you try to buy liquor on the boat.
Yeah.
You know, most other states, I think there's one other state that does this. Texas will charge you a tax on what you bring in liquor and cigarette wise.
Yeah, liquor and liquor and tobacco.
Everyone else just lets you go through. You know, that's the only problem with going through Galveston.
Yeah. So but yeah, I enjoy Galveston. I never have a hard time. I like the parking. I like the way everything's done. I also like New Orleans, but New Orleans to me gets a little expensive, just because it's New Orleans and I want to go do things while I'm there. So
very true. As of right now, we do have we don't have to pay for a hotel if we cruise out of New Orleans, because we do have friends that live near there.
Right. Exactly. And when we take advantage of friends.
Yes, we do.
I mean, not take advantage. It's more
not take. We're using them. I mean, not using.
Yes.
We're borrowing their home.
Anyways, I think since Galveston is our home port, I think that since the Jubilee is the newest ship, I think we should be there at the whatever they do, the christening, the inaugural United States cruise.
I believe we should be there.
So I think we should be honored guests, actually.
I think they should roll out the red carpet, because we are the premier carnival podcast.
Yeah, exactly. I think that this is just, my craziness here. I think that if everybody listening were to go on Facebook and on Twitter and they did hashtag CCP to Jubilee, not the Chinese Communist Party, the Carnival.
We really need to rethink
Carnival
this.
Cruising Podcastaways to the Jubilee, or to Jubilee, hashtag CCP to Jubilee. I think that it would gather some traction, and Carnival had no option but to invite us to
be on that cruise.
Yeah, to be on the cruise, all that,
and on the inaugural celebration, and all that good stuff.
Right. And that way we can provide that content to our viewers. So that is what this is all about, folks. That it's not us going on cruises.
No.
So
it's not us wanting a presidential suite or anything like that.
No, we don't. We're good with the captain suite. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. Seriously, with the balcony on top of the bridge. Yeah.
We're not asking too much.
That's understandable. Remember, that's CCP to Jubilee.
We started talking about doing this first episode, and one of the things that you came up with was we need to do a top 10, but
we do.
But it's kind of like a top 20, because we both came up with our own top 10.
that it can be the first episode, the rest could be like, we split top 5.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah, I understand that. Then that works. But this one was fun because we don't know what each other's top 10 is, and so we were going to kind of see, how many we kind of say the same. So a lot of these, like, I could bring up and then you could bring up, or vice
Yeah.
versa. Either way, it's fine. It may end up being a
Yeah.
top, 8. So,
Yeah.
but either way,
Would you like me to start or you to start?
you go ahead.
Okay. So starting at number 10, this is for before you board. The first two I'm going to mention are before you board. So go to Facebook and follow John Heald. He is the brand ambassador for Carnival Cruise Lines. He has some great tips, great news. He'll update on everything. The next one is on Facebook. Search the date and the ship you're going to cruise on. And usually there'll be 1 or 2 groups for that specific date of cruise. You can join that cruise group, and there's a ton of events you can usually get in on, like slot pools. Maybe they'll plan a cigar night, a poker run, things of that and like that. It's really fun. Meet and greets. So you don't have to go on the ship thinking you don't know anyone, especially if you're cruising by yourself. Now the rest are on the boat. When you first get on the boat, you can't go into your rooms. So grab yourself a guy's burger, right off the bat. Just deliciousness right there. Or, jump into the pool with your clothes on.
I've actually never done that one.
I have. But just know that
I actually believe that.
Just know that if you're wearing black shorts, the pool is highly chlorinated and they will be brown by the end of the week. So number 5 is explore. Explore the ship. Find things that you want that are cool. Like go find the casino. Go find the Red Frog. Go find any place that you might need. Like the shops. Maybe you want a cool place to sit by yourself. Find a secret deck. That's my number 6. Find the secret decks. All of the ships have a secret deck I know where most of them are. And there's actually websites that you can go search where the secret decks are on these ships. And that's pretty cool. I like that. Number 7 is buy a drink. Get a drink of the day. There's nothing like starting your cruise off with a drink. Now, if you don't drink, they do have non-alcoholic drinks that you can get. They're like non-alcoholic cocktails. You can get a soda or whatever. Then, this is number 8. Make your reservation at the specialties restaurants like the Steakhouse, the Cucina, Gigi's, any of them that require reservations. Go ahead and make those as soon as you get on the boat if you haven't already done it online. Number 9, unpack. Don't live out of your suitcase because it's just so much. You're going to be living there for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days, sometimes up to 2 weeks. Might as well get comfortable. And then my number 1, turn your phone on airplane mode.
Okay, so I like your top 10, and we actually we don't have as many as I thought we might. So that's a good thing. I'm gonna start at number 1. My number 1 is get your key card. It's in the box just outside your room, and it's waiting on you once you get on the boat. Clip it to your lanyard, and you are good to go. Number 2, you're already there at your room getting your card. See if your room steward is around. Go over there, introduce yourself. He will introduce himself. Learn their name because they're going to know your name from day one. So it's always embarrassing when they're like, Mr. Trevor. And I'm like, you, that guy. What's your name again? And he's taking the time to learn all of these people's names. You could have learned that one. So that's just my thing. Number 3, make sure you have the Carnival Hub app installed on your phone. If you have not downloaded it, you can download it anytime on the ship's Wi-Fi. They've got it set up where even if the cruise is already started, all you do is connect to the Wi-Fi and you can download that Hub app onto your phone. Number 4, check where your muster station is. This is a not a condiment. You're not putting it on your guy's burger. Right now, Carnival's doing a self muster, which is awesome. And all you have to do is go to your station, check in, watch the employee put on their life jacket, and explain the process, and then you're good to go. Carnival will deactivate your sign and sell card if you do not go to your muster. So make sure you get there. Number 5, get a special meal. I avoid the buffet and I typically go get either a guy's burger, a blue iguana burrito, or a entire 20 pizza over there at the 24-hour pizza. Then I go pick up a drink of the day. That's how I like to start my cruise, every cruise. The deck party. Go. It's a lot of fun. Kind of like what Tom said with dancing. Do yourself a favor and participate in the deck party. You're going to have a ton of fun. Just get out there, dance. I have spent too many years on the sidelines watching people have fun. In my last cruise, I got up, got out there, I boogie woogied, and I had no clue what I was doing. And which is a funny story that I'll tell real quickly, which is they're doing, it's like the electric slide or something. I don't remember what it was. Anyways, we're sitting there dancing, and I'm like, I'm going to be smart. I'm going to be in the back because being in the back means I can watch everybody ahead of me and I could do the moves. And didn't realize this dance turns all the way around. And then when I'm in the back, that means I'm now in the front. I can't see anybody. And I was like, oh boy, just boogie woogie. So yeah, it's yeah, it was a lot of fun though. Number 7, if you want to get like a spa pass, this is the time to do it. They are discounted on that first day. So it's like typically it's like the first like 50 people that go up there and get a spa pass get the discount. My wife, first thing she does when she gets on the boat, she gives me the bird and she runs up there to the spa. She spends money up there.
I've seen her do it too.
And she does quick. So that's very important to her. So if that's important to you, get up there, get your little discount. Number 8, if you have connected to the ship's Wi-Fi, you might find that you can no longer connect to the internet. This is because you don't have an internet package, probably, and they're blocking you from accessing the web while you're sitting there in port. So you can turn off the Wi-Fi and connect, do whatever you need to do before you leave port. But just remember, when you leave port, put it in airplane mode. So if you need Wi-Fi still, or if you need internet, you're gonna have to get an internet package. You do not want to get those data charges while you're out at sea. Number 9, if you want some great deck photos, find the secret deck on your ship. This may take a little bit of pre-planning. Do some research on your ship, figure out where they are, where you need to go. There'll be almost nobody there, and you'll have a perfect area to get up at the front of the boat, scream, I'm the king of the world, and take some great photos. I've done it. It's amazing. So I love it.
Some of the secret decks are very cool at night too, and they'll freak you out.
Yeah.
Because there's no light up there.
No, absolutely zero. They got to see where they're going, which is kind of weird to say it that way, but yeah, they got to see where they're going. So there can't be any reflections. So my number 10 is get accustomed to the ship. Learn the deck plans early so you spend less time feeling lost. By the end of your cruise, this will be your second home and you will know every place on the ship. But early on, you're going to be lost.
Yeah, very much so.
You're going to find yourself completely turned around. You're going to be walking to the front of the ship only to realize you walk to the back of the ship. So it happens.
Especially when you're not up on the outer decks. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't know where you're going, so you just start walking one direction.
Well, and then even if you're on the upper decks, it could all come down to how many, drink of the days you've had. So
True.
so anyways, learning the ship is important. There's a lot of good resources to do that. Go to YouTube. There's like a million people that just to take a video of them walking around the boat.
Hmm.
You can look at the deck plans, you can look at everything. And so you can kind of put all that together and you should have a pretty good map in your head when you get on that boat of where you can go.
Two honorable mentions, though. One, when you're on the floor that your stateroom is in, odd does not mean you. Okay. Odd is to what the number that your room ends on.
That's why I could never find my room over there.
Yep. So odd rooms are starboard side, even rooms are port side. So that's one way to know what side of the boat you're on and if you'll get to see pier runners.
Yes.
Now, another thing, and this is very important because all Carnival ships run on ship time. Turn your GPS off on your phone because you do not want that to change time. Very dangerous.
Yes. Yes, that's a big deal. If you do leave your GPS on, just keep track of the changes if you can. Look at the ship time before you leave the ship and be like, okay, I'm an hour and ahead. I'm 1 hour ahead, so I need to remember that. Because that's happened to me. And with these smartphones, I can't figure out how to change it back.
Yeah.
So I don't think there is a way.
No, because it all runs on GPS. I mean, yeah. The only other thing is to go ancient and actually wear a wristwatch.
But I do think I think those are good top 10s. I really do.
Yeah.
We're going to make a list of these top 10s. I'm going to go ahead and put them in our Facebook group. If you want to go on and look at our Facebook group, that is Carnival Cruising Podcastaways group. We also have a page. Check those out. And we'll have a document in there in the files section where you can go in and look at our top 10 lists. If you want to use that whenever you're going on your first cruise, that's great. Or it could be your second cruise and you didn't know about secret decks or stuff like that. That could be a good way for it to remind you. So this first episode, I thought it would be fun for us to go over the early history of Carnival and its first ship, the Mardi Gras. I'm a researcher. I love to research things. So I kind of take this to the extreme sometimes.
Yeah.
So I do got a tiny little bit of a story kind of worked out here. And you can feel free to interrupt me at any point and ask me a question. I probably won't know it, but I'll lie at my best. So I started at the very beginning with the founder of Carnival, because I think it's only fitting that we kind of tell his story too, because this ship is kind of unique in a way, and the way they kind of acquired it.
It is. I mean, it has a rich history before Carnival too.
Yes, it's the ship's unique. Ted Arison is very unique, and so I think it all kind of comes together. So Ted Arison is the founder of Carnival Cruise Lines. He started it all. He was the kind of guy who had a strong work ethic and principles that he just like lived by. He stuck to those. Before he was cruising on the fun ships, he was fighting in the trenches of World War II. He actually enlisted in the Jewish Brigade and was a part of the British Army, and he fought in Italy. After World War II, Ted actually joined the Israel Defense Force and served as an officer during the Arab-Israeli War in 1948. And when he departed from there, he was a lieutenant colonel.
Wow.
Yeah. So Ted immigrated to the United States from Tel Aviv and managed a shipping company for a few years. And that's when he decided he's starting Carnival. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, he actually co-founded Norwegian Cruise Lines. He would stay with Norwegian for about 6 years and then part ways with the company. By this time, Ted was ready to go out on his own with the backing of another guy. He was a financial backer. They started Carnival Cruise Lines. In 1972, Canadian Pacific was trying to unload the cruise ship, the Empress of Canada, and the Shaw Seville line, which was another ship line, was actually interested in buying that ship, but they were having financial troubles and they passed on purchasing it. So this opened the door for other buyers for that boat. And Ted and his newly founded Carnival Cruise Line took a look at it as a potential buy. There were several ships on the market, but one thing that the Empress of Canada had that the other vessels did not was that this ship was well maintained and had several amenities that Carnival was looking for, which is like total air conditioning, bathrooms in each stateroom, an indoor pool, and cinema. So Carnival purchased the Empress of Canada and immediately renamed her to the Mardi Gras. The ship renaming and refitting was pretty simple at first. All it took was a few coats of paint and they were ready to set sail. While this was all going on, Carnival set up tours on that ship in Miami for 50 cents. And the money actually went to the children's hospital, kind of, starting off, in a good way. It's kind of like the cruise for St. Jude's and all that stuff that they do now. It really shows,
Yeah.
what they were all about in the beginning, that's still a thing that goes on today.
They're giving nature and stuff like that. That's amazing.
Yeah. So Carnival started taking out advertisements in the paper with its first branded tagline, the Golden Fleet. So I would like to call this the Golden Fleet era. This is a short era, according to the article that I read from Smart Business. The fun ship's branding began just 2 years later. The person that's responsible for that was Bob Dickinson, the former Carnival president and CEO.
Nice.
Actually, a funny quote from Bob was about the change was that nothing on the Mardi Gras was golden and they only had one ship. So there was no fleet. Also, Fleet was a company that made enemas. So
Yeah.
it didn't register with like the public very well.
Yeah. I don't think I would. No.
Yeah.
No.
So one of the first performers booked to entertain guests on the Mardi Gras was Sally Russell. I actually had a very difficult time figuring out who Sally is. And Tom, you can testify to this. When I get set on something and I want to find something out, I don't stop researching.
You will
I
find
it more and more.
it somehow.
Yeah. So when I first Googled her name, all I could find was this restaurant in Miami named Sally Russell. And I was like, that's not right. So I did some more digging. And after about an hour, I found a news article from 1975 in the Miami News about Sally Russell. It turns out when I found that restaurant, the Sally Russell, I was closer than I thought.
Oh, really?
Sally and her husband owned that restaurant. She had a bad car accident in the mid 1960s and it almost cut her singing career short. Staying in Miami and opening the restaurant was kind of like her rehab. And it was something that she enjoyed doing while healing up and getting back on her feet. It became a popular place to eat in Miami. And when Sally started retaking singing gigs, it came at a surprise to some because this super talented chef could also sing amazingly. She even sometimes actually found news articles where she catered events and then also performed at them. Like, no joke. She's like doing double duty.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
No one would do that now. You couldn't even pay a caterer enough to do that.
Yeah. Anyways, it was good to see what performers they were booking at the time. The itinerary was pretty well set for each cruise. The Mardi Gras would be stopping in St. Thomas, St. Juan, or San Juan, sorry, excuse me, and Montego Bay. So we come to the first ever Carnival cruise. The Mardi Gras is leaving Miami on March 12th, 1972, when suddenly they're not. They drove the boat straight into a sandbar on their way out of port. When you read all the initial reports on what happened, it's not really clear how this even happened. In the interview that I read with Bob Dickinson in 2006, it was actually due to pilot error. So they just accidentally drove it into the sandbar.
The pilot captain did?
Yes.
Not okay. So it wasn't the captain. It was the pilot captain because I wasn't sure if they had those on board. That's amazing.
Yeah, he said it was due to pilot error. That's all he said. So also, this is something I want to point out. You can't always rely on Wikipedia to do this kind of research, because if you watch or read a lot of history on this event, you will hear that the competitors made fun of Carnival, calling it Mardi Gras on the rocks. That's a drink reference, basically.
Yeah.
But according to that same article that I quoted earlier with Bob Dickinson, he says that the first thing that they did when they hit that sandbar was they opened all the bars on the boat and started serving free drinks. They named the very first Carnival drink of the day Mardi Gras on the rocks. So even if their competitors did call them that, they had already owned the name long before.
Yeah.
So I think they chose a really cool nickname for that. And I hope somebody that goes to the Mardi Gras and does the drinking competition, the mixology stuff, they name that the Mardi Gras on the rocks. I bet you they'd win.
I would be interested in seeing why they took it off the menu because I want to try it now next time I go on a cruise.
Yeah, yeah. It didn't say what it was mixed with, but it sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Getting stuck in the sandbar actually cost the Mardi Gras several hours of lost time. It took 5 tugboats to get them free and get it refloated. Everything seemed okay. The ship was allowed to leave port. They forgo the stop in Jamaica and they moved on to their next scheduled port. Ted was actually on the ship and he promised the guests 20% off of their cruise and a free stay in the hotel that they were building that would be completed that following year. The first cruise was rough all the way around. Some of the guests that were interviewed stated that the boat was dirty or they didn't get any entertainment from the staff, but they also complained about the 20% off. So, like, kind of like they wanted more. So I kind of take all their statements kind of with a grain of salt. They did interview a lot of people that said it was a wonderful cruise. They had so much fun, and so that's what I hope happened. So, what was the ship like? It had some interesting features. First of all, I found it interesting that the headboard in your room had a radio built into it. And the only station that it picked up was the onboard radio station that was actually handled by the entertainment ship broadcasts. And so they played like music and stuff over it. And one person that I had read statements about said that it was really interesting that they picked up the songs that only faintly, but then whenever the ship broadcast would come through, it was like super loud and clear. They were probably wired in differently for each type.
Yeah.
But there were no outlets in the rooms. Many of the ladies who wanted to use any electrical devices for their hair or anything like that needed to go to a changing room that was actually down the hall when it had outlets there. So it was very common to find a lot of ladies down there with their hair and rollers and all that, getting ready for, dinner or whatever going on that day.
So those of us who are griping about plugs in our rooms, about there only being 2, we should feel grateful that we have plugs.
Feel grateful there's two. Be grateful there's two. So, also the bathrooms were about the size of a telephone booth. They've gotten a little bigger, but not much. Some of the listeners may not know what a telephone booth is. So, before cell phone, no, I'm kidding. You can Google it if you need to. The bathroom was okay. So it had a tiny sink, it had a toilet, and just above you was a shower head. So I can imagine that you could use the bathroom, wash your hands, and take a shower all at the same time, which it sounds efficient to me. I'm thinking about doing that at my house. So
I'm shaking my head right now for those of you guys wondering what I'm doing.
I'm kidding. So Carnival hired onboard entertainment, and also depending on the port that they were at, they would bring on locals from each island to board the ship, and they would come on and they would come on and entertain the guests. They'd put on shows. Sometimes, depending on the port and how long they were staying, they could come on that night and actually stay on and do a dinner performance, and then be there in the morning at a deck party. So pretty interesting stuff there. So there were 8 decks of fun. The bottom deck was a swimming pool deck. It had a men's and ladies changing rooms on each side, and an elevator bank that was in between those two changing rooms. And then that all connected to the swimming pool. It wasn't a very big swimming pool, but it was there. The pictures that I've seen actually came from the Empress of Canada. So I don't know if they kept the paintings and stuff up on the wall on the tile, but it had like a beach like scene, and it was very interesting seeing that painted on tile around the pool.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting.
Yeah. The next deck was it had the flamingo dining room, and the rest of that deck was cabins. The original Empress of Canada actually had 2 dining rooms on this floor. One was a first class dining room, which was real small, and then the other one was a tourist class. But Carnival did away with the classes, and they scrapped that smaller one to build more rooms. So they had just that one large dining room. The third deck was called the main deck, and it contained cabins and a 200-ish seat cinema, depending on the era. So I counted the seats. So 200-ish is what I came up with.
200-ish.
It took me a while to count. So and I wasn't going to see if that was constant through the years, but yeah. So whenever it first started sailing, that's how many seats were in that cinema, and it ran first run shows, first run movies.
Really?
Yeah. So I found that kind of interesting. One person actually said that when they actually went to the cinema on the Mardi Gras, and they were the only person in there. Everybody else was having fun up on deck, and they were there watching a movie. But would it be cool to be like see Star Wars on the Mardi Gras, like out there on a boat?
Yeah, that would be awesome. Well, I mean, let's see here. Star Wars came out in '77. How long did the ship was the ship with Carnival?
It's 72 to 93. So
okay.
Yeah, so you could have caught all of them. See, the fourth deck was the upper deck, and later in life it contained the Bourbon Street Arcade and Sun Deck areas. The fifth deck was like it had a grand ballroom, clubs, and it had a Sun Deck area. It had several rooms in there as well. The sixth deck contained a Lido bar, casino lounge, and also another Sun Deck. And then the seventh and eighth decks were just pretty much sports decks and Sun Decks. So lots of parties out in these areas. These Sun Decks had lots of them. Now, one thing I couldn't nail down for certain, and I hope someone listening can clue me in on this, because I This is another thing I went down a rabbit hole, and I was like, I gotta give up on this one. So, did the 1972 Mardi Gras start out with a swimming pool on deck, or was that a part of the 1982 refurbishment? Because I know that they had the indoor pool, and
I can answer that.
can you? Because it's questionable. So,
No, no, I can't. I can't answer that. Up until the mid '70s, and this ship was not built in the '70s. All pools on cruise ships were on the bottom level because of weight disbursement. Because if you have it on the top, it makes it top heavy, so they have to put more stabilizers at the bottom. So that's the reason why they started putting them on the top, is because they came up with new ways of stabilizing the ship to make it not as top heavy, and that didn't happen until the '70s. So it was during the upgrade.
well, and I understand that, but the reason I question it is because there are like model builders and stuff that have remade the ship on tiny size, and they did the Empress of Canada with a pool on top. So it's not a very big pool, but it's there. And so I just don't know. I don't know. The ship was actually built in the 60s, so I don't quite know. So maybe somebody, maybe if Tom is right, let me know. If not, let's make fun of him.
No, 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 no.
I don't know, but
See,
yeah,
I,
somebody out there, somebody might have actually cruised on the Empress of Canada. Could clue us in on that one. So
yeah, that's the reason why when there's matching hot tubs on both sides of the ship too, is
yeah,
so that it balances it out and it's not as top heavy.
well, I can tell you this for sure. Carnival lost over $8 million their first year of operation. They were cruising in the beginning at like 40% capacity. It took some revamping, but over the next couple of years, they started making a profit. And within a few more years, they were the largest most successful cruise line in the world. So, like I said, the Mardi Gras was, it went under like this pretty significant refit in 1982. At the time, there were two activities that they did on the boat that you could no longer do. Which, Tom, would you like to take a crack at what those activities are?
Skeet shooting
Yes.
and the topless deck.
No. Which that might be another one. I don't know. There is no toplessness on there. So
They used to have a topless deck on their ship. So
I could go topless on any boat. So that's still a thing.
But yeah, you and I can't. Well, I don't know if people would want to see me without a shirt on, but women couldn't.
Yeah, skeet shooting is definitely one. The other one is hitting golf balls into the ocean. They had a driving competition that see who could knock the balls out the furthest. So that's interesting.
So they're trying to kill Willie,
pretty much,
instead of Free Willie.
Yeah. Which, remember you said that, please. So in 1993, the Carnival Cruise Line sold the Mardi Gras, and over the years, she was renamed repeatedly. She was put on ice a few times, just waiting to come back out. And after 10 years, she would be scrapped in 2003. She was sold for scrap. Scrap prices were really high in 2003 for some reason. And they beached her in India and they broke her down piece by piece. So it's not over for the Mardi Gras, though, for the name anyways. In February 2021, Carnival announced that the new XL series ships, and the first one was going to bear the Mardi Gras name. It's 27,000 tons. Well, let me restate that. Sorry. The original Mardi Gras was 27,000 tons. The new 2021 Mardi Gras is 181,000 tons, making it 6 times heavier than the original ship. So yeah, she came back busting.
Don't ever use that language again.
So I do got some fun facts about the Mardi Gras. So you ready to hear these?
Yeah.
So when the Mardi Gras was still the Empress of Canada in 1968, it actually struck a whale and impaled it. The whale was stuck to the bow of the ship, and the only way that they could dislodge it was going full astern. And it finally dislodged. I'm not joking. This is another good one. Ted Arison, this has nothing to do with Carnival, by the way, besides Ted. Ted Arison was the majority investor in the Miami Heat. He was solely responsible for that team's existence.
And that's why Shaq is the CFO now.
Yeah. So they said that after that first press conference, he was laughing in the elevator because they had actually kind of twisted his arm because he was the most wealthy of the investors. So he was kind of like the main guy. So he was considered like the owner. He was the face of the team on the owner side. And so, but yeah, they did this interview. They introduced him as like the owner, and he leaves this press conference. He gets in the elevator with all the other investors and he's laughing, and they're like, "Why are you laughing?" And he goes, "I don't even like basketball."
Wow.
So he didn't buy the team for himself. He did it for Miami because he loved Miami. And so he did it to bring the team there. So I thought that was pretty interesting. He wanted to give back in a way. My last fun fact is that the Mardi Gras is not the only ship to run aground in that sandbar. The Bahama Star also did the exact same thing, but instead of getting free within hours, the Bahama Star was stuck there for an entire week.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So, and that happened, yeah, like 2 years before. So
maybe they should, make sure that the pilot captains know about that sandbar. You would think they knew about it,
Yeah, but if it's their I don't know. Maybe it's their first day. First day on the job. Everyone's got to have their first day. So sadly, it ends up in a sandbar.
Sadly. So, yeah.
So not bad. So that is the full history of the Mardi Gras, start to finish. A lot of fun. I will actually have a little video put together here soon that we'll be putting on our YouTube page and on our Facebook page that is going to be all about the Mardi Gras. And it's going to be a fun watch. So definitely go over there, check it out. It'll have a little bit more information and some good music. So check it out.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. Thank you guys for listening. And we will be with you next time on the Carnival Cruisers Podcastaways. Bye.
See ya. Hello, everyone.
Of course, you're not sharing your screen anymore.
I hate you. We're not doing this again.
Well, I'm sorry, there's a delay. I'm sorry.
All right. Can I have a hush in the crowd? Hello, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Carnival Cruising Podcastaways, the podcast where we talk about anything and everything cruising. My name is Trevor Shelby, and joining me on this cruise adventure is my good friend, Mr. Thomas Kennedy. How are you doing,
Yo,
Tom?
I'm good. You said everything cruising. I thought we said it was going to be everything Carnival cruising.
Well, it is. This is everything Carnival cruising related.
Okay. Well, I mean, cruising says everything cruising. I need specifics here.
Okay, Tom, fine. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Carnival Cruising Podcastaways, the podcast
Take 3.
where we take... Dang you. All right, take 4. Oh, man.